What is going on YouTube? Austin Zay back here with another YouTube video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about all things stimulus check related, okay? I've made a couple of other stimulus check videos and they've gotten a ton of views, so I really appreciate you for watching, and I just wanted to continue to update you, okay? You guys have been asking, and that is what I'm going to do. So today, again, we're talking about everything stimulus check related. Is there going to be a second round of stimulus? And just kind of break down all the updates and everything that you need to know. If you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would smash that like button, as it really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. Okay, for starters, and then we'll come back to a couple of updates here in just a minute. The $2,000 a month stimulus bill, which would be the second round, it would actually be the fourth stimulus, okay? But you don't really know about the first couple because it wasn't until the third stimulus where you had the $1,200 check that most people were aware of, because the first two were for corporations and they were for other things. But anyways, the $2,000 a month stimulus that you've probably seen a lot of on YouTube and a lot of other YouTubers talking about it is still just a proposed bill. It has not gotten passed yet, but we're going to dive into that here in just a minute, talk about the likelihood of that getting passed, and then a couple of other proposed stimulus bills as well, and any updates that you need to know, even as it pertains to the $1,200 stimulus check also. So kind of diving in here to my notes a little bit, I wanted to make sure that I normally don't use notes, but I want to make sure for the stimulus videos that I just have everything 100%, so that way you're fully updated, okay? So, again, the $2,000 a month stimulus bill is not passed. It is just a proposal. Look, at the end of the day, the $1,200 was not enough. According to Business Insider, about 26 million Americans have filed for unemployment. Look, these numbers are numbers that we've never heard before. Several economists are predicting that unemployment is even going to continue to go up, which is pretty insane to me, okay? So, again, with Americans out of work, or at least a lot of Americans out of work, and really only about 80 million people have received their $1,200 stimulus check, what happens is, and again, I'm not taking sides, okay? I want to be very neutral when it comes to all of this, but a lot of Americans are probably in need of money, considering that about 50% of Americans do live paycheck to paycheck. So when you have this $1,200 stimulus check, only 80 million people have received it. You've got 26 million unemployed. What ends up happening is people can't afford to make their rent, people can't afford to make their mortgage, people can't afford to go buy groceries, people really can't afford to do what they need to do. So the $1,200 is more of just a Band-Aid, right? It was just a Band-Aid, and really that is why you're seeing all the proposals of the second round of stimulus, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and talk about that here right now. So the $2,000 proposed bill, again, would be called the Emergency Money for the People Act. And it was initially introduced by a guy by the name of Tim Ryan and Ro Khanna. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And Bernie Sanders has actually proposed something similar to this, okay? But here's the basic rundown of what that would look and feel like. It would be about $2,000 a month. Basically, most Americans would actually be eligible. I think it's like 225 million Americans would be eligible for this. 16 years and older, you'd be eligible. Dependents actually qualify too, which they didn't for the $1,200 stimulus check, the third round, but from your perspective, probably the first stimulus check, okay? So dependents would qualify if you are dependent on somebody else's tax return. And that does include high school students, again, older than 16, college students, adults with disabilities, and other adults claimed as dependents as well, okay? You gotta make less than $130,000 a year as a single person, less than $260,000 as a couple, okay? And these payments would not be seen as income, right? And therefore they would not be filed, they would not need to be filed as income on your tax return, okay? You wouldn't have to pay taxes on that money. Another thing to keep in mind with the proposed $2,000 a month stimulus is if you are on unemployment, disability, or any other type of government assistance, you would still actually qualify for the $2,000 a month, okay? Which is definitely something that was not the case, okay, in the first round of stimulus. So let's go ahead and just dive back over really quick, because obviously that is just a proposal. We'll see what happens. What is actually passed, okay? So going back to what is actually passed, the qualification system for the original stimulus was AGI, which is adjusted gross income. So if you have not received your original stimulus check yet, that is because maybe in 2018 or 2019, you made more money than other people, and therefore the people that make less money are going to receive their check first. Also, paper checks are taking a while to get out to the American people. The timeline on that was like initially 20 weeks, which is pretty crazy. The IRS is actually even a bit ahead when it comes to the paper checks right now, which I mean, they're still massively behind probably in the grand scheme of things, but I think they're like technically ahead, okay? So just something to remember there. You gotta make sure your taxes were filed. You gotta make sure your information was correct. There's definitely a couple of other videos that I've even made where, again, you have to remember that all of your information has gotta be correct. Your mailing address has gotta be correct. Your bank account information has gotta be correct. If everything is not correct, that could be a reason why you have not received your $1,200 yet. Definitely make sure everything is correct. You can verify and make sure everything is correct on the Get My Payment portal on the irs.gov's website. Okay, I'll try to link all the links down in the description below. If you qualify as a non-filer, you can also update all of your information online as well. Again, it is irs.gov/coronavirus/non-file. I'll link it all down below, okay? And then keep in mind the IRS's website mainframe is super old school, okay? It is not up to date at all. It is not very user-friendly. It is super clunky. It's kind of hard to use, okay? So just keep that in mind. I mean, these are things that you definitely want to consider while doing all of this. And a lot of people are having trouble checking their stimulus payment status online. I know that a lot of people are even having trouble checking it with the SBA loan program and also the EIDL, the PPP, all of that as well. Obviously, we are just talking about the original stimulus of the $1,200 check right now, but this applies to pretty much everything CARES Act related, okay? The $2.2 trillion bill that actually got passed, okay, which was the CARES Act, okay? So, make sure that you actually qualify, obviously, right? Your AGI is under 75,000, or if you're single is under 112,500. If you filed as head of household, or 150,000 if you're a married couple. Again, just like double check, make sure that you qualify, make sure that everything is correct, and just continue to check online, continue to check your bank account. Okay, really quick, what about small businesses, okay? Small businesses, like we mentioned before, that SBA loan program, $350 billion, ran out of money in a very short period of time. And small businesses are still, from what I can tell, they're still struggling, okay? Not a lot of people were able to actually receive that money. I know a lot of people that did not receive that money, okay? So again, unemployment is still on the steady incline. You've got the multi-billion dollar, big corporation bailout, okay? But you have the small businesses that we're looking at. And I know there's been a lot of talk, a lot of rumor that more funds are getting added to the SBA program, okay? I think like another $250 billion. We will see what ends up happening with that. With the SBA program, you had the PPP, the EIDL, which I talked about a minute ago. The EIDL is just the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which has been around forever. A bunch of funds just got added to it because of obviously what we're going through right now. But the PPP was the Payment Protection Program, which is a new program, okay? And those were, basically those could have gone all the way up to $10 million. And they were intended to cover 8 weeks of payroll, okay, which is why it's called the Payroll Protection Program. So, look, just something to consider here. The EIDL, it was actually, for tornadoes, pretty much anything, tornadoes, hurricanes, any natural disaster, things like that. But, this is obviously a natural, or this is a disaster, okay, is what it really is. There was another $484 billion approved by the Senate, okay. Not all of that is going to be going to the SBA. It essentially is going to be all dispersed, okay? So I think $25 billion was going to COVID-19 testing, $75 billion was going to provide aid to hospitals, $60 billion to the Small Business Administration, the SBA program, EIDL program, and about $324 billion to the PPP, the Payment Protection Program. I think that is the one where a lot of people were struggling. They did not receive enough money. And there's a lot of people that got let go, or the business is not bringing in enough money, and they've got to pay their employees, okay? Yeah, that's a lot of money, right? Billions of dollars. And I know what you're thinking, at least small businesses are getting a lot of money, right? And they are, unfortunately, not a lot of people are getting a lot of money, right? $1,200 was just kind of a Band-Aid, just depending on what your financial situation was like, right? And, some people are doing just fine. Other people are not doing good. And I think, that is kind of a very interesting thing that we're seeing right now where, people are really either not doing good at all or people are doing just fine. and the people that are not doing good probably need more than $1,200. Look, the bottom line, in my opinion now, is just a matter of, is another stimulus bill going to get passed? Is there going to be more money that gets added? Are people going to start to actually receive their money? When are we going to open back up? These are questions that I have personally. And then what does that cost the economy? Overall, can the United States just continue to print money? That is a big question, right? You take a look at the $2,000 a month stimulus bill, roughly 225 million Americans would actually qualify based on the qualifications we talked about earlier. You do the math on something like that over the course of, 6 months or a year, you're looking at, like $2.5 trillion, which is more than the CARES Act in total, right? More than the $2.2 trillion CARES Act. So these are big, big, big numbers. And these are just different questions that I personally have. I know that the unemployment in a lot of different states, I think like 30 different states added money to their weekly unemployment, which is a part of the CARES Act as well. I think it was up to like $600 in additional unemployment right now. Again, a lot of money getting pumped into the economy, a lot of crazy stuff going on. I wanted to update you. We do not have a second stimulus yet, okay? We don't have that yet. We have a lot of talk. There's a lot of proposals out there. There's several proposals that I didn't even mention in today's video, but we will see. We will see if another one gets passed. If it did get passed, I would say it has got to happen very soon, right? If it's going to get passed, it is going to be in the very near future, in my opinion. And, it can't be in a month or 2 months or 3 months from now. It would be soon. It would be right away, and we will see, okay? I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you got some sort of value out of today's video. I know that I've made other videos that have done very well on this particular subject. I typically make videos on other subjects, so I would appreciate it if you would subscribe, if you would hit that like button, okay? And that way, when we go back to normal and everything does go back to normal, hopefully I can continue to provide you value. I appreciate you watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.